All right, let's talk about AI. You know the drill. It's either this amazing utopia that's going to solve all our problems, or it's this terrifying dystopia straight out of a movie. But what if there's another way to look at it? Today, we're diving into the work of Ain't Paul Singh, who says we're totally missing the point. The most important piece of the puzzle is us.
So we get hit with this question all the time, right? Is AI our greatest tool or our biggest threat? It feels like we have to pick a side. But what if that's just the wrong question? What if the real answer isn't hidden in some future code, but in our own past?
And that's exactly where Singh says we need to start, by looking back before we can even think about looking forward. This brings us to this really core idea he calls the paradox of progress.
You know, when you lay it all out like this, a pattern just jumps right out at you. It's like this constant thing throughout human history. Every time we invent something that totally changes the game, it comes with a shadow. Think about it. Fire? Yeah, it gave us warmth and cooked food, but it also brought destruction. The printing press? It spread knowledge like wildfire, but it also became a tool for propaganda. And the internet? Well, we all know how that one's going. It connects the entire planet, but it's also a breeding ground for misinformation. So AI isn't some brand new monster. It's just the next, and maybe the most powerful, chapter in the super old story of promise versus peril.
And Ain't Paul Singh just nails this tension with this one line. The more technology connects us, the greater its potential to sow chaos. See, what he's getting at is that the danger isn't really in the tool. It's what happens when we plug that tool into everything, on a global scale, and weave it into the very fabric of our lives. That's where things get complicated.
Okay, so with that constant back and forth between promise and peril, it's no wonder we all feel a little anxious, right? It creates this huge fear factor around AI. And we're not talking about some distant sci-fi stuff here. These are real, right-now concerns about what's coming next. And these fears are super personal, super real. I mean, look at this list. We're worried about our jobs, sure, but it's also about our social bonds kind of fraying at the edges. It's about losing our ability to make our own choices, our own autonomy. When you really boil it all down, it's a fear of losing control, isn't it? Control over our careers, our relationships, our societies, even our own decisions, as we hand more and more over to these black box algorithms we don't really get.
But this right here is where Singh really flips the script. He says, and this is so key, these dangers are not inevitable. They follow from a profit or power-centric approach to AI rather than a humanistic one. Whoa. So let that sink in. The problem isn't the tech, it's the why. It's about the values we decide to bake into these systems from the very beginning.
So that leads us right to the solution, right? If building AI just for profit or power is the problem, then what's the answer? Well, it's what Singh calls a humanistic approach.
Okay, so what does humanistic even mean in this context? It's not just some nice-sounding, fluffy word. It's actually a philosophy for how we build things. It's about asking one simple question over and over again. Does this thing serve human value, human choice, human dignity? Or are we just asking people to bend over backward to serve the needs of the machine?
And it's not just Singh saying this. Political scientist Dr. Lindsay Cormack brings up a really important hard limit. She puts it perfectly. AI cannot replicate the essence of human connection. Think about that. An algorithm can fake a conversation, sure, but it can't feel empathy. It can't truly share an experience with you. That stuff, that's still all us.
Then you've got philosopher Dr. Nick Bird, who takes it a step further and challenges the words we use. We throw around artificial intelligence, but is it really thinking? He says AI predicts, not thinks. And that is such a critical distinction. It's an incredibly powerful machine for matching patterns and making really good guesses based on statistics. But that is a million miles away from actual, genuine understanding.
So, okay, how do we actually do this? This sounds great, but what are the steps? Well, Singh gives us a pretty practical roadmap. First, it's about who is in the room building this stuff. We need diverse teams that actually look like the societies they're building for, not just a small bubble of engineers. Then it's about how it's built. Total transparency so we can all look under the hood. After that, we can start weaving our moral values, like empathy and dignity, right into the policies that govern AI. Make them a core feature, not some optional extra. And what's the end game for all this? To build AI that helps us, that augments what we can do, not an AI that's designed to make us obsolete.
All right, to really get a feel for this, let's flip it around and talk about what AI can't do. I mean, it's easy to get blown away by all the cool stuff it can do, but honestly, its limits are where things get really interesting.
So Singh did this simple but kind of brilliant little test. He wanted to check AI's ability to do something that feels so human. Humor. He just gave a big language model a super simple request. Tell me a joke.
And this is what it came back with. Why did the neural network cross the road? It was optimized for that trajectory. Yeah. I mean, it's technically a joke, right? It has the format. But there's no wit, no surprise, none of that shared we all get it feeling that actually makes a joke land. It just shows you that the AI can copy the shape of a joke, but it has no idea what makes it funny. It can't grasp the soul of it.
And this same lack of real understanding, it leads to a much bigger and honestly a much more dangerous problem with AI. It's a phenomenon called hallucination. This is when an AI will just make stuff up. It'll spit out information that sounds totally plausible, totally confident, but it's just flat out wrong or completely nonsensical. It's a huge reminder that these things are designed to find patterns, not to tell the truth.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture here. Now that we know all this, how should we be thinking about our own role in this crazy new era?
Well, usually we're handed just two options, right? On one side, you've got your techno-optimists, the people who think technology is going to be a magic wand that fixes everything. On the other side, you've got the alarmist fatalists, the ones who are sure a terrible, dystopian future is pretty much a done deal. But Singh points us to a third way. He calls it pragmatic optimism. And it's this really thoughtful middle ground that says, hey, let's celebrate all this cool innovation, but let's also chain it to strong ethics and make sure it's accountable to all of us.
And this really gets to the heart of our responsibility. And it's captured in this incredible line from Singh. We are not punished for our mistakes, but by them. Let that one sit for a minute. The consequences of building AI carelessly, without these human-first values, they're not going to be some punishment from a runaway robot. They will be the natural outcome of the choices we make.
So when you ask the question, who's responsible for the future of AI? For its ethics, its impact, its entire direction, the answer is actually really simple. There is exactly one species that holds all that power and all that burden. It's us.
And that really is the ultimate takeaway here. The big question isn't some passive thing we sit back and watch, like, I wonder what AI will become. No, it's an active question. It's a doing question. What will we, all of us, together choose to build? So, what's our next move?